different meeting. Now, on to another matter. There are changes in the bill with respect to special ballots. Presently, when someone takes out a special ballot, they must write in the name of the candidate. This bill changes that so that if someone were to fill in Conservative Party of Canada, they could simply mark in their party preference, not the name of the candidate. So I just want to understand the implications of that in this hypothetical. Say that there was a candidate who was running and they, for whatever reason, withdrew before the deadline, the cutoff, and another candidate replaced them, and someone voted on day one of the writ, and they marked in Conservative Party of Canada, and the candidate who was standing for the Conservative Party at that date was different than the candidate who ultimately made the final ballot. How would that vote be treated?
The vote would be treated such that the intent of that person is to vote for the candidate that is the representative of the Conservative Party in your example, as it stands at the close of nominations. And so if there was a shift prior to the close of nominations, then the list of candidates in party affiliation is crystallized at the close of nominations.
So I guess, just to clarify, would the vote count or not?
If it only mentioned the party,
right,
it would count.
And
if it mentioned the party in the name of a candidate who is not a candidate of the party, then the intent of the elector could not be understood and it would not count.
And right now, if someone were to vote by way of special ballot and they marked in candidate A, because they'd be required to specifically write in the name of the candidate, and then candidate A was not the candidate that made the final ballot because someone else stepped in and they met the filing deadline, that vote would not count. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, on another matter, we've seen this in a few by-elections, this protest movement that you've alluded to, in which there have been 50 candidates on the ballot in Winnipeg and Montreal and in Toronto. You've proposed some potential amendments to the Act. I welcome those suggestions. I would note as well that I think in each of the three ridings, the same official agent represented all of the candidates. What are your thoughts on potentially making an amendment so that an official agent could only act for one candidate in a riding?
Mr. Chair, that's something that I've considered. And now, these are all nil returns for all of these candidates affiliated with that movement. And so it is such a small task to sign a nil return that I think it could easily be done with different official agents. And I'm not sure what the policy rationale would be. In the case of the signature, there is a policy rationale for electors supporting the nomination of a particular candidate, not any person in the world who wants to be a candidate. And so I think that allowing a person to, putting on the table a series of 75 nomination papers and allowing people to sign in string does not conform to the idea behind candidate signatures, and I think that's why this is the measure that I propose. I mean, in the last 4 by-elections, I've had to adapt the prescriptions of the Act to accommodate the number of candidates. That means that I'm setting aside the will of Parliament, and I do not do that lightly. Parliament has designed the ballot in a certain way, and there can be conversation as to whether this is the right way in debates and amendments. But for me to set it aside is a significant gesture, and I do not do that lightly. But there is no other way of allowing so many candidates. I do think that that's an issue.
Merci.
You have 2 minutes 30. Thank you. I'll go quickly. Mr. Perrault, just some specific point. In the meetings with the NDP and Liberals on the preparation of C-65, was a question of putting off the date of the election, any of these meetings? No, that never came up. No, not that I can recall, is the answer. Then another point that I wanted to put to you, I just wanted to underline something, namely my concern on section 28, no, on 25 up to 28, talking about the assistance granted to someone in voting. I've lived through lots of different elections, and we go into a zone which can actually create certain problems, and I am sure that certain political organisers of the old school might want to repeat some of their former vices, namely to try and make people vote against their will. So I wanted to express that concern because that's what I've been told did happen in the past, and it would be a pity if a change to the bill would lead to this, because here, if one person is allowed to help several people to vote, we might come back to the same issue. I just wanted to express that concern, please. Yes, this question of intimidation or various dishonest manoeuvres to force people to vote in one way or another, I don't think that would be the case. Here we're replacing the word friend, which was judged insulting by certain electors or certain voters. So how many people are going to bring people to vote with them? Just carefully look at the amount of people would be brought to vote by one single person on election day. I think that's something where we need to keep a close eye on this. And yes, you've got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. I'll do my best. Mr. Pearl, this committee has been seized with foreign interference issues regarding our elections in the past. I've had private members' bills in the past that have tried to clamp down on foreign money influencing. If the changes in C65 that are already there, and are there any amendments, or are there any further things that you think this committee should be doing to close any of the loopholes? Because I still see a lot of loopholes where foreign money can actually be used through third-party organizations and so on, even from foreign state actors using those kinds of organizations to influence. Is there anything else that we can do to tighten up these rules and loopholes?
In my recent report on threats to the electoral process that I presented to the Speaker a few weeks ago, there were some small additional elements. For example, it is an offense for a third party to use foreign funds, but it's not an offense for the foreign entity to make that contribution. So there are things that should be tied up in that regard. I don't think that the provisions of the bill allow for that, but the changes that are proposed to the third-party regime, I think, go in a very long way in closing opportunities for foreign funding.